Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live stream. My name is Evan Mitchell. I'm the music director of the Kingston Symphony Orchestra, but before that, I was the assistant conductor of our beloved Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra, an orchestra that has meant the world to me, as well as legions of people since its inception. This is a fundraiser for the players of the KWS. When I was putting together the idea of doing this, it was originally during the more optimistic times of a day ago, when it seemed as though the option of bankruptcy might still be on the horizon. Sadly, between the period in which the musicians were first notified that the season was off to the bankruptcy announcement was about 4 days. And so now this fundraiser, with the link that you see here, SaveTheKWS.ca, this is for the players and the staff of the KW Symphony Orchestra, which is now defunct. Please give generously, give often. That's what this is all about. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to play through a video game called Celeste from 2018. And talk about my experience with the Symphony Orchestra. I'm going to chatter as much as possible to play as poorly as possible, because every time that I die, I'm going to donate $100 to the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra Players Association GoFundMe. Again, SaveTheKWS.ca. So let's just switch over here to the... Okay. So, why a video game, Evan? Why are you doing this? And the reason why is because, believe it or not, the last thing that I ever conducted with the KWS was a video game concert, the final piece being a spirited encore with a house that was just screaming for it, Sonic the Hedgehog medley. Kind of a strange epitaph for my experience with the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra. Literally right now, I was expecting to, less than a week ago, be performing a wonderful concert, the very first subscription concert of the KWS this season, I believe, which I think is a great honor. 3 concerts in total, 2 Pops concerts celebrating the very best of film music, and 1 show for young people, their family series on the weekend. 3 concerts. This was to be the KWS's opening week. It was going to be 9 services, and I think at least 4 concert performances. That's how hardworking this orchestra is. So instead, here we are. So in the spirit of this video game concert that I did, which is sort of like, again, my final experience with the KWS as a guest conductor, I'm going to be playing this game, Celeste. Celeste is a game about climbing a mountain and incidentally overcoming adversity. And it's really easy to die, but death has no consequences. You just start back at a very accessible recent checkpoint. To show you how often death can happen, you can see on my primary file here that I have died 11,140 times. That represents every single game I've ever played through on this. We're going to be starting a new one. Let's see. This is going to be something in which, of course, every time I die, I will be donating $100 to the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra's players GoFundMe. That's missing a little something, isn't it? There we go. And so I'll talk a little tiny bit about the game first, just so people have an understanding about what this is all about and how it's going to work. So Celeste, as I said, is a game about climbing a mountain. The main character, Madeline, is someone who's been struggling with some inner demons, and she wants to climb Mount Celeste as a testament to her own perseverance and personal power. So you start off, and you can walk around, you can jump. You find out pretty rapidly that you can also climb. You learn from a little birdie that you can climb. So I can jump, I can climb, and then shortly thereafter I learn a third mechanic, a very important one. I run into Granny here. She just mostly laughs at you throughout the course of the game. So things immediately heat up a little tiny bit. The bridge is collapsing here. And I find myself in this troublesome situation, whereas the bird comes down and tells me about this third mechanic that I can, in fact, dash into the air. And that is all you need to know about the way that this game mechanically works. It's obviously significantly more sophisticated than this, but that's essentially the essence of Celeste. One thing I will say before we sort of get into it proper is that, again, it's very easy to die in this game. And so I just want to illustrate that anything will kill you. For example, spikes kill you. There's $100. Falling into pits will kill you. That's $100. So I'm going to play through this game, and every time that I die, I am going to be updating my my count here. So let's see, we're already at 2 deaths, and that's $200. I'll normally do this at the end of each level, but for the moment, just to start things off, that's where we're at. So hopefully that updates fairly quickly. I'm sort of running all of this by myself. Yep, good. Looks like it's something that's going to work. So that's it for the video game aspect of it. I would like to talk about the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra, how it changed my life, unspeakably for the better. I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo. I spent the first, I guess, essentially 27 years of my life there. How do I get this? There we are. We'll grab a couple strawberries just for fun. Those are extra content. The very first time I ever heard a symphony orchestra play, I was 8 years old. I was on a field trip with my class, and I heard the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra play Peter and the Wolf at Center in the Square, one of North America's finest concert halls. And my mom loved Peter and the Wolf. She had a record of Peter and the Wolf that I had listened to about 1 billion times. That was the first time I had seen it happen live on stage. And I was so completely captivated because, for me, it was this... oh, by the way, just very quickly, wherever possible, I'm going to take the more death-prone route. So I'm going to take some risks like that while we go through to sort of bump up the death count a little bit. Please feel free to distract me in the chat. This is a fundraiser. I want to die as often as possible while still playing legit. So the watershed moment for hearing Peter and the Wolf played by this spectacular orchestra is that, first off, it was just this incredibly powerful experience, as you can imagine, just awe-inspiring for a young person who'd never seen or heard anything like that before. But beyond that, it made me realize that this music, it didn't happen from a record. It didn't happen from a television commercial or a Warner Brothers cartoon. This was real people all working together, somehow magically making this happen live on stage. That wasn't the moment necessarily that started my love affair for orchestral music to the point where I wanted it to be a vocation, but I look back on that, and I think that one of the proudest moments of my career was conducting Peter and the Wolf for thousands of children as the assistant conductor of the KWS. Really felt like it came full circle. So, when it came time for me to go to university and study music, the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra was my orchestra still, my hometown orchestra. I went to Wilfrid Laurier University, and I heard them constantly, and they were a source of inspiration. And the players of this orchestra were the professors at my university. And, these were rock stars. These were people that I just happened to see day in and day out who were these incredible artists. And it was such an amazing thing to behold that when they recently had, when they had their problems in 2003, 2004, I actually fished out an email that I got from the personnel manager at the time with just a surreal email to say, "Hey, Evan, I wonder if you're free to take part in our, in parentheses, last question mark concert ever. a performance of Firebird, which I actually wasn't able to do. It was too late and I was booked for something else, and I was just terrified that I would have missed this last opportunity to have some kind of experience with this orchestra. I went on after that. Of course, the symphony soldiered on. They were able to raise that money. I went on to study conducting with Maestro Rafi Armenian, who is, I think, the longest serving music director of the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra. In fact, the performance hall of the Center in the Square, again, one of North America's finest concert halls, is the Rafi Armenian Hall. That hall is now empty, devoid of symphonic music, and it's honestly such an incredible loss for the community that I find myself unable to articulate the degree to which I consider this to be something that culturally, this jewel, this touchstone of art and self-actualization, that the symphony, it's not there anymore, and that's an awful thing. So this fundraiser, again, it's for the players. There's a GoFundMe, that link you see on the screen, SaveTheKWS.ca. That will go to a GoFundMe. They've already raised, these players, with simply a grassroots GoFundMe campaign and social media. In 2 days, they raised more than $250,000, and it's just it is incredible, and it would be even more amazing if just the opportunity for them to have saved the symphony hadn't been so narrow of a whoops, I really messed that up. Of an opportunity. And at this point, I'm not, whoops, there we go, there's one death. I'm certainly hoping that there's going to be some kind of rebuilding, but today it's not about pointing blame or just the infuriating anger or anything like that at how this could happen so quickly with seemingly no notice. But today is, what's going on? Well, this is good for the symphony. The symphony just made $200 right there. The players did. Let me actually just try and take this. There we go. Let's just skip all that. It's actually supposed to be more dangerous. I specifically did not practice very hard in the effort to sully my death count as far as possible over the course of this run through. You can imagine my joy becoming this fine orchestra's assistant conductor in 2011. I had finished my time with the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra, and I confess I felt pretty scared about the state of my career. I had no guest conducting. I had no prospects seemingly as a conductor, and I had what I consider to be probably the worst conducting audition of my life with these players. I was just thinking, like, my goodness, like, beyond not getting the job, I felt like I had just embarrassed myself. I even had the wrong edition of parts for my my little round with the youth orchestra players, and I thought, boy, that's really going to affect the rehearsal process. Hopefully, they will overlook that oversight. I felt like the speech that I had to give to talk about repertoire was garbage, and you can just imagine not only my relief but my fierce pride upon getting the phone call, learning that I had gotten the job. Throughout my time there, Edwin Outwater, of course, was the music director at that juncture, and it was a time in which I felt as though I was completely free to bring creative ideas. Sound sync. Let's see. We have 4 deaths total so far. Let me just quickly adjust that. So that's 4 deaths. $400 so far. I do have a hard upper limit. I'm hoping that we don't actually get to that. Let's see. Taking a look at the the chat. Hello, Ian and Aline. Bowser, unfortunately, not in this game, but there will be, believe it or not, an extended boss fight at some point or other. Actually, technically, a couple of them. There's a dude who starts chasing me in this particular level. So one of the things that I have been known for with my tenure with the Kingston Symphony Orchestra is concert initiatives. That is to say, not just about programming or fun stuff on stage, but the I'd say pre-concert initiatives, really, be they digital, be they in person. I host my own pre-concert talks, but I also do an awful lot of writing, producing, etc. Of initiatives surrounding concerts, the goal of which is to allow people to be able to experience the music on their own terms and connect with it on their own terms. And our most successful initiative outside of our pre-concert talk is something called SoundSync. It's where we use a mobile device to silently and discreetly give real-time updates, guided listening, while the concert is taking place in real time. So if you ever don't know what you should be listening for and you're curious, you just look down in your lap and there's a little bit of text information that's updated in real time. This was an initiative that I conceived and first executed at the KWS. And I remember going to Edwin and having this crazy idea of like not only having cell phones in the audience, but encouraging their use. And what he said to me was, let's do it. That's what he said. He said, let's do it. He didn't say, what about what if the ringer goes off? What if, he said, that's a great idea. Let's try it. And so we tried it on first an Intersections concert, I believe with Alex Kuba. It worked very well. There were very few technical glitches. Audience seemed to respond to it. And then we did it next on a Masterworks, a signature series, pardon me, which spanned 3 concerts, including a very senior-oriented matinee that had, believe it or not, our greatest numbers in terms of participation. And it was a success. That's why I brought it to Kingston. It's been a success there. Probably wouldn't have even thought about it or felt encouraged to even try it, emboldened to try it, had it not been for my time at the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra. So the orchestra is made up, I believe, of, I want to say, 54 musicians and a host of staff. These staff members, these musicians, they all received notice that the season was not going on as scheduled at all. What am I doing? I've already gone back here. My goodness. I probably have to just go through this all again. Well, you know, more opportunity for me to die, folks. My plan all along. That's going to be one right there. Look at that. That's twice. Let's do this a safer way. Here we go. Very good. Completely unnecessary, but that's okay. It's a fundraiser, right? We're here to make money for the KWS. And as I find myself talking and getting very emotional about this, I think we're gonna definitely bring some funds to these players who are in desperate need of it. As I've said, they got no notice. There are some members who have been a part of this orchestra for literally decades. 2-member households who that's their primary income is symphony work. This is the real immediate tragedy. There are also some people who have recently, they just won jobs. I can think of 2 people who just won new jobs with the KW Symphony as principal players in this orchestra. And principal players, auxiliary players, several of them, this would have been their first week. And instead, after having relocated here, after having prepared for the season, all the excitement, all the affirmation of their hard work, it is so hard to win an audition. There was no symphony to be found. They didn't even get to play a rehearsal. So go to SaveTheKWS.ca right now. You can do it with this tab open. You can shut this tab down. Doesn't matter. Just go there, donate now, donate a bunch, donate often. This is for them, and this is really all we can do for the moment, considering that the organization itself obviously is not going to exist as it did in its prior format. And so one step at a time. The emergency here is for the players and for the staff of the KWS. And this GoFundMe, it funds them. 52 musicians. Okay, pardon me. You know, I always thought it was 52 musicians, Ian, but I saw somewhere On some listing it said 54, and I thought you might have maybe hired a couple new people. Whoops. Anyway, 52 is the official number, plus a bunch of staff. What this orchestra has done in its days as a full-time professional symphony, it's given thousands of concerts. It has given opportunities for literally a million plus children to encounter the beauty and the majesty of symphonic music, many of them for the first time. That was the gift it gave to me. It was life-changing. And, you know, the real misconception that people have about these sorts of things is that if there's some kind of angle, or if there's some kind of, where are you, Ashiro? You're up here, okay. If there's some kind of ulterior motive, it's to turn people in the audience into the next symphony conductor, or the next soloist, or the next whatever. And really, all the symphony is doing, exposing this art for young people, is giving them an opportunity to experience something beautiful and incredible and magical, and something that they can appreciate their whole lives, and they can make up their own minds as to whether or not it's something that they want to pursue. And honestly, every child who I've ever had the experience of being a part of their exposure to symphony music, I've never heard one of them ever say, "This is boring, I don't like this." If it just means that they start listening to classical orchestral music on the radio, or they pick up an instrument, or whatever, it happens to be on their Spotify lists, the orchestra has given these people, these young people, a gift that is essentially a lifelong, perpetual gift of love and inspiration and beauty and so many other things. I have considered myself lucky enough that there have been some kids who, whoops, what am I going to do here? There we are. Figured it out. That have been really inspired by the symphony concerts for young people, be they student concerts on field trips, be they the young people's concerts that the KW Symphony put on, several of those every year. I conducted so many of those. These were all just gifts to the children, gifts to young, inquisitive minds. And so I think that that's the highest and the most notable cause, shall we say, for orchestral music. However, if we go back to the, oh, by the way, I don't have a very good solution to getting through this level, this stage here. This one's tough. Okay, probably okay. That could have gone very badly. Glad to not be stuck there. Even if we take a look at the symphony as just a way to entertain, it's not about enlightenment, it's not about emotional connection, you're just there to be entertained. The KWS, again, has done that for 80 years. And I think the thing that we're all finding about life in this particular era is that it's surprisingly challenging. I personally thought that after COVID, everything would be easier. It's not. It's a challenging time for virtually everybody, for virtually every possible reason. And again, this is why it's so imperative that we give, to these musicians who are now out of work and were given 5 days notice. So even if these musicians, if their closest, most substantial gift to the community was a couple hours every now and then for affordable, brilliant, straight entertainment, then that's a gift that so few people can give. And it represents an enormous lacuna in the state of cultural fulfillment of everyone in this region. And so we want to keep these players close by. We want to make sure that they are well supported. Again, right now, with their campaign, it's so inspiring. They've raised... I'm gonna have to take a look at the number in between levels here, but like it's got to be over $300,000 at this point. Beyond... Oh, there's another death. What was I thinking? My goodness. Just astonishing. And this was all by themselves with just essentially their social media connections and a GoFundMe campaign. It's so inspiring, and why am I waiting for you, Hiroshi? Oh my goodness. It's so inspiring to me that I don't have the words, and I consider myself fortunate to be in a position to be able to donate and help out and do this little fun little thing, provided I'm ever able to get past this screen, which I might not be able to actually, folks. Well, that's all I need to do. Very strange. You know, I've played through this a million times. I'm emotional. I'm talking. Not really concentrating on this. What's going on? It's unbelievable. Doing a quick pause here. $301,000 at this particular point. I don't have speedrunning strats for Celeste per se. My fastest completion is about 54 minutes for the main game. Generally speaking, these days, my goal is deathless completion. That's sort of what inspired this little, and I'm doing very poorly, I should say. But again, the whole purpose of this fundraiser is to raise money for these players and to help support them in their time of need, which is absolutely now. So for everyone who is here, who is watching this right now, everyone who is taking part in the chat, go to SaveTheKWS.ca. Donate now, donate often. I have just given a couple $100 more to the tally here. I think I probably died 4 times during that level. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. What is my total here? We have 8 deaths. Okay. So let's update this to 8 deaths, $800. I am not tooting my own horn. I am merely trying to convince others to donate. This will actually be my second donation of this campaign. My wife Rachel has donated, I think, at least once as well. This cause is so important. Please help out these players. So we're on a Golden Ridge. This is a win level. It sucks. Yeah, Oshiro's definitely on the musician's side. Hi, Tally. Thanks for being part of this. So, what to talk about next? I will share some of the stories that I have with the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra that showcase the depth of my horrific lack of musicianship. I honestly don't know how I ever managed to get, again, a gig with them ever. My orchestral debut, my professional orchestral debut, was with the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra. This would have been in 2002, and it was a joint concert, I believe, with Orchestra London. That kind of hits hard, given existing context. And it was this enormous concert. Why did I even do that? I didn't even just take that jump there. I'm opening myself up for deaths. You know what? Let's have another. Let's make sure we're raising some money here. The concert was Petrushka and both suites of Daphnis and Chloe of Ravel. The percussion section was 8 people, and I think that they had called every percussionist in the area code, and then they called me. So I was 8th percussion. It was my very first professional orchestral experience. I had no idea what I was doing. I was playing castanets and wind machine just in Daphnis and Chloe, the second suite. I counted every single bar. I knew when I needed to come in. I could have just listened for a trumpet cue here, an oboe cue there. Nope, I counted every bar. And part of that was that the conductor was Maestro Raffi Armenian, and I knew that I was going to be studying with him, and I wanted to make a good impression, and I wanted to make a good impression on with all of my colleagues. So I spent, in retrospect, kind of a silly amount of time practicing with the wind machine. Now, a wind machine is kind of like, imagine a beer keg with a canvas cover on top of it, and there's a crank on the beer keg so that you turn it, you rotate it against the canvas, and it makes that whooshing sound, hence the wind machine. I practiced with it. I felt like I had all of the kinks figured out, and I knew its quirks. I knew how loud I needed to be. I felt very confident in my mastery of the KWS's wind machine. And so we finally get to that moment in rehearsal, and I'm ready to go, and I start cranking that thing, and there's no tension. One of the strings had snapped that held the canvas. I guess, as I remembered, actually, the crank did not have any tension because the nut that had sort of affixed it to the barrel of the unit had somehow come loose. And so I was turning like a madman, and it was making no sound because it wasn't actually activating the barrel itself. And so I was just furiously turning this thing, and I look up, and I see Rafi Armenian, my future teacher. He looks in my general direction, and he says in his big booming voice, "Where is the wind machine?" And I honestly think I could have died there. I could have just curled up into a ball and entered oblivion and been very happy to experience the sweet release of death at that moment. Whoops. So that was my first experience there. It left me just babbling about how the thing was busted. I was able to fix it at the break. It turned out okay, guys. It turned out okay. But it was quite the thing when you're, an undergrad playing your first orchestral concert with the people that you see day in and day out with your future conducting teacher. Oh, I waited too long here. That's bad. Yikes. Boy, doing this while talking incessantly is actually very difficult. Who would have thought? No, I am going to see if I can find a way to resurrect this. Here we go. There we are. I like this path better. This is the harder path. I'm not going to weasel out and take the easy path for any of these. We're making money. So I have another embarrassing performance story as a percussionist. I have two, technically. I don't know if I'll tell the third one, but I will definitely tell the second one. This would be, I don't know what year it would be, but it was New Year's Day. We were doing a Salute to Vienna New Year's concert. And so this is a celebration of the music, generally speaking, of Johann Strauss. Waltzes, polkas, operetta, always a lot of dancers, a lot of costume changes. Murder on the second violins and on the French horns because of all the offbeats that they have to play. And so I was asked to come in and play percussion for this concert. It was at the last minute, and I was delighted because some of you may know this about me. I actually adore this music very, very much. And so I was happy to play all these waltzes, play a little snare drum, play a little triangle. As it turned out, the conductor, as often seemingly they are for these particular types of concerts, this conductor was a mumbler. And so what ended up happening was every time this conductor would announce the next piece that we were going to rehearse, we really wouldn't understand, we wouldn't hear it, and he would immediately raise his baton. I learned not to do that from this particular guy. So we were all pretty sure in the back of the orchestra, some 60 or 70 feet away, that he had said champagne. And so we all opened up the champagne finale from Fledermaus. All of us in the percussion section. What the rest of the orchestra opened up was the champagne polka. And had I known the music a little bit better, I would not have been so... I would have caught it as we started to rehearse. But as it was, both the pieces were an up-tempo 2/4, and so we were all oblivious and ready to go on. We were all ready to go on for this, the wrong piece. Now, I should mention, that for the champagne... no, pardon me. I got it backwards. Champagne finale was what was the conductor wanted to do. We were all ready to play the champagne polka. In the champagne polka, there are a couple of a bunch of novelty cork popping sounds throughout the piece, and the pop gun that the KWS had was broken, and so I was given a starter pistol. Now, this thing didn't seem to be all that hardcore to me. I wasn't particularly put out by it. I thought, okay, it's not going to be that big or that loud. It's this little tiny thing, a little noisy cricket. I should have tested it, though, because as you can now understand the scene that I am painting, we were in the wrong piece, of course, and about 3.5 bars in, maybe 4 bars in, I was about to pull the trigger on this starter pistol, and it basically sounded like cannon fire. Everything fell apart. The dancers like ducked and covered. It turns out they were from San Francisco, and they were actually concerned that there was an earthquake. The conductor dropped his baton, and after the hubbub had sort of fallen, everyone turns around, and there I am holding the literal smoking gun. So first off, we determined that I'm playing the wrong piece. And so was the rest of the percussion section, but that didn't matter because I was, firing a howitzer. So then, when we actually get to the champagne polka, we get to the right part, and I tried firing it at the ground. It didn't matter. It was just way too loud. And so at this point, the conductor stops and says, it's way too much. And this was the instrument that I'd been given. I was just seeing my life end, my whole career flash before my eyes. What we ended up doing is we found some paper bags, and I blew them up, and I tied them off, and I put them on the xylophone, and I popped them one by one. And as we get to, we finish the piece, and he says, okay, he being the conductor, okay, so I want to write in some extra pops. I'm like, okay, no problem. Let me know where they are. So for whatever reason, we did this during the rehearsal process. We took 5 minutes, and he wrote in some extra pops. Then he said, let's go again with the extra pops. And I could just look down at the carcasses of, whoops, where am I going? The carcasses of 10 spent paper bags. That was all that we had. And so we went through this rehearsal of this piece again. He cued me for every single pop that he wanted. And all I could do was shrug. And he said, okay, you missed some of the pops. I said, Maestro, I missed all of the pops. We ran out of bags. He said, what? I said, we ran out of bags. He said, I don't understand. Because he wasn't, English was not his first language. It was really difficult to communicate the absurdity of this situation. So then, basically, ready to, hurl myself out of a window, I went to the dollar store and I bought a whole bunch of paper bags. And then it was okay for the concert. But to this day, I have PTSD with the champagne polka, and to a slightly lesser degree, the champagne finale of Fledermaus. Yeah, it went pretty badly. So, I see a bunch of people here in the chat. I hope everyone is donating. I'll talk a little bit more about my experiences with the orchestra. I'll talk more about what I perceive that the orchestra did, what the community has lost, perhaps muse on some next steps. Again, this is not going to be about blaming anybody today. I'm not in full possession or even partial possession of the facts of any consequence, I think. So we're all, very angry. We're very upset. This moment right now is about the musicians and making sure that they are properly accounted for. They've done this unbelievably, unspeakably incredible thing by putting together this GoFundMe that has just galvanized the community, and I'm so proud of them all, and I'm delighted that it has gotten to be as high as it is. And apparently it wasn't enough soon enough for the state of what needed to be happened. But the reality is with that sort of timeline, by the time that anyone knew what was going on, it was obviously already too late. And so This is what we can do for the musicians. I do it gladly. I do it with a warm and open and generous heart. No matter how much that I am able to raise, or indeed anyone is able to raise for these people, is going to be enough for what they have given of themselves to me, to the region, and to artists everywhere, to audiences everywhere, to young people everywhere. It's a tragedy, and there will be time for sadness. There will be time for all sorts of things. Right now, the emergency at hand is dealing with what has happened to these players. So please, SaveTheKWS.ca. Donate now. Donate again. Donate lots. I see a lot of people have given $5,000. I know that's a lot of money. I know not everybody can afford to do that. I'm so proud to see that number. Anyone, even if you just give $10, I've seen some $10 donations. Everything counts. With campaigns like this, it's all about spreading the word, and it's all about volume. So no matter what you give, just make sure you give to these people. So for those of you who are familiar with this game at all, I'm actually going to try something very risky here that'll probably cost me a couple $100. I'm going to do the shortcut that eliminates these two keys that we see down here in an effort to do what's called a reverse extended hyperdash and get over to this area in the far left. Oh, well, I guess I was successful. You know what? That should have cost me a life at least. So let's just, bank a couple of deaths. Very good. Now, generally speaking, that's actually easier than getting those two keys. It's some very simple platforming to be... Whoa, no, that's not good. No, Seeker. Don't hurt me, please. I mean, hurt me. What am I saying? All my instincts are off. This is a fundraiser. I should be dying all the time. That's what's important. So, yes, as I was saying, please donate. Please donate to these wonderful people. Your donation is supporting the players, and it is supporting the staff, and this is what they need right now. Donate now, donate often, donate whatever you can. We're all in this together, and what has happened, it's being seen as, oh, hello, Theo. It's being seen as the tragedy that it is, the loss for the community that it is. So let's see. I will tell you my third embarrassing KWS performance story. This was the day after my graduation as an honors music performance graduate in performance percussion. I had had some drinks. I was a little bit, shall we say, under the weather the morning after, and I got a call at about 9:30 from the personnel manager of the KWS saying, Evan, we've had an emergency. Could you come in this morning in like 15 minutes? Now, what's going on here, buddy? Come on. To play for us. And I said, okay, sure, Chris, whatever you say. So I should have said no, because I could barely put on my clothes. But I showed up with about 30 seconds to spare. And, I worked on the bass drum, made sure I felt like it was sounding okay. I had the pump cymbals all set up. And, ooh, that was close. And as it was, because I had gotten there at the last minute, the rehearsal started, Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini, while I was still adjusting the cymbal straps. So, that piece quite famously begins cymbals, and I missed it, of course, because of course I did. I was not ready. I had just gotten there. I was wearing a Scooby-Doo t-shirt and pajama pants. That was not my finest hour, and so the conductor stopped and said, "Cymbals, we're in one." I was like, "Okay, well, that's not my issue. I know where we are. I know what I've missed." My issue is just one that I was not. Why did I choose to pick you up there, Theo? There's another $100. There's another $100 to the KWS. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Uh-oh, no, come on, go up, Theo, there we are. So, rehearsal starts again. I get to the 9th bar or whatever, and I'm playing pumps, which is bass drum and cymbals at the same time, a pair of cymbals. And so what happens is you attach the cymbals to the top of the bass drum. One cymbal stands there, is sort of fastened to the top of it, and it's fixed there. And then the other cymbal you hold in your hand, one hand with the bass drum beater, one hand with the cymbal. And I was just I was tired, I was hungover, I had just barely gotten there, I'd felt kind of embarrassed about the state of things already, and I suctioned the cymbals. So instead of this beautiful psh, it was a and the conductor stopped and then took a good hard look at me. And he said, "Have you ever played those before?" That was the inflection. This was the day after I had just received my honors bachelor in percussion performance, and I felt about 3 microns tall. I will say that I played spectacularly in the concert. Oh, I should actually take a look now. We've done another level. How many times have I died here? We're at 12 deaths. Okay, that's $1,200 for the KWS, folks. Anybody gonna match me? I think that $1,200 sounds like a wonderful amount. Okay, so what do we have next? Now we have the reflection. Yeah, I know. I know that I'm not too much of a drinker. It's actually because of experiences like that in my undergraduate that I sort of kind of distanced myself from these sorts of things. So those are my worst KWS performance experiences. Let me talk about some of the highlights. I mentioned the Peter and the Wolf. That was really meaningful for me. For those of you who were not here since the beginning of the stream, the very first time I ever heard an orchestra, it was your Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra performing Peter and the Wolf. And it was a watershed moment for me, one that I do account for being an important landmark in my path towards becoming an orchestra musician. Because not only did it show me that it was the result of people playing this on stage, as opposed to like hearing a recording or a record or a soft drink commercial or a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It was real people that were doing this amazing thing live in front of you, and it seemed impossible, even to an 8-year-old. And it sounded so amazing that I knew that I had an interest in that from that very moment. In fact, the very first CD that I bought with my own money, for those of you who were born after 1990, a CD is a compact disc, which is, I can't even use a DVD for scale because DVDs are obsolete, but it's the size of an almost virtually identical composition to a DVD that you put into a CD player and it plays music. Doesn't even play video, plays music. The very first CD I ever bought with my own money was 1993's soundtrack to Jurassic Park, because that had sort of just completely captured my imagination. It is just occurring to me now, Jurassic Park was something that the KWS was going to play with me at the helm, like probably about right now, folks. It's really surreal to be talking about this institution in the past tense. And my solace is that while the orchestra as an institution is gone, the people are still here. Thank God. The people are who we are supporting right now. That's what this little funky thing's about. Moreover, this is what the efforts to that the players themselves are undertaking. Sorry. And that's what today is all about: getting money for these people and securing their future, and then after that, securing the future, whatever it may look like, of orchestra music in the region. The Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra was the 3rd largest orchestra in Ontario. The 2 orchestras that were bigger than the KWS are the Toronto Symphony and the National Arts Centre Orchestra. The depth and the degree of loss that the Kitchener region has taken on, and in the broader sense, overnight, it's staggering and it's horrifying. You know, one thing that drove me crazy during the pandemic is I saw a lot of orchestras around the world do not a lot at all, or do one little thing and then just, you know, essentially throw up their hands. The Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra managed to put on some of the greatest digital content of the orchestral pandemic era. Beautiful artistry, wonderful video editing. The orchestra sounded great in isolation. And like, look, I would consider myself an expert, on putting these things together. They are so hard to do. And the KWS did them like no one else. Beyond that, as soon as it was possible for coming back to the stage, they did. They did it while it was safe, but still not safe enough for an actual live audience. You know, I conducted a concert with the KWS under those circumstances. It was with Royal Wood, the singer-songwriter, and actually, it was an experience I'll never forget. You know, I was spared the crazy sight of performing to a house filled with no one, to a completely empty, barren audience space at Center in the Square of 1,800 people or however many it is. Because I was facing the wrong way. It was obvious when we weren't hearing applause, but, you know, I was facing with my back to the audience, so I wasn't aware, you know, in the moment to moment, that this is what, that this was very unnatural. During the encore, Royal Wood performed Yesterday by himself, framed against rockstar lighting in the center of the square, like a tight spot. And I was able to turn around and watch him there. And it was honestly the strangest thing I think I've ever encountered in a live performance. Just for he, but more importantly and to the point, this group of, what am I doing here? Oops, made a mistake. There we go. You know, 52 musicians on stage, pouring their hearts out to nobody. Do you know what it's like to produce art with nobody there? It feels like, it's so hard to explain because your whole purpose is to share this with people. And so to know that they're there, but they're there in front of their computers, it's just, it's crazy. It's unnatural, it's weird, and this orchestra just did it like it was nothing. They developed live performance techniques, doing this for an extended period of time. They were able to do it for masterwork shows. They did it with physical distancing. They originally had to use, whoops, that was a mistake. There's $100 for the KWS. They were able to produce live concerts while they were performing with the Winds. I have a picture of it on my phone somewhere. If you've ever seen like a 1980s isolation booth for game shows, where, you know, you're sitting in like this glass cage of emotions surrounded on all sides, that's what the Winds and Brass had to do. It's the most antithetical setup for musical performance I have ever seen. And it was like, nope, no problem. This is what we're doing. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they managed to do it for so many concerts. All I know is that instead of doing nothing, they did their duty for the community, and they spread light and hope and art in a period which was the darkest of many people's lives. And here they are today with 5 days notice that everything that they have built up is not there. It's unthinkable. SaveTheKWS.ca. We're here to raise money for these fine people, and that's what we're going to do. And in case I haven't made it clear, just to talk about, you know, everyone is important. Nobody deserves to have happen what happened to these. What am I even doing? I jumped into that. $100 for the KWS. Look at that. In case I haven't made it clear, just again, the artistry and the poise and the perseverance and the virtuosity of these players. It's the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra was a body that it seemed miraculous that the region of Kitchener-Waterloo would have. Like, I can't even explain how lucky I considered myself day in and day out to be part of a region that was, whoops, oh no, I made it, look at that, that was close, that obviously took pride in this great organization, this beacon of insight and art and inspiration, performing the world's greatest art day in and day out like it's nothing. Some of the greatest performances I ever heard of the standard repertoire. Beethoven symphonies, Brahms symphonies, concertos. I heard of the KWS and the magnificent acoustic of the Center in the Square. Again, one of Canada's greatest, North America's greatest concert halls, modeled after the Bayreuth Theatre. It's empty now. It's not supposed to be empty. I was supposed to be there along with my friends and my family, performing some really wonderful music. Nope, it's empty. They're not there. Instead, they are here by themselves with a grassroots campaign to make sure that they have some kind of future. So please donate now, donate often, donate as much as you can. Okay, how am I doing here? I think I died 3 times. Let me update these totals here. So for those of you who are joining us and who are curious as to why I'm playing a video game, this is a game where you die a lot, so it's an opportunity for me to donate per death. I also like video games, but beyond that, am I really only at 14 deaths? We're gonna have to fix that. Let's see. Currently at 12 deaths. Let's update this total. 14 deaths. $1,400. I know not everyone is in a position to be able to donate $1,400. Every little bit counts. Every little bit is important. And it is literally the least that we're able to do for these incredible players. I'm playing a video game because the last concert that I conducted with the KWS, possibly ever it seems, was a video game concert. And so it felt as though things would have come a bit full circle here. So I talked about the artistry of the players. There's also a generosity of spirit for these players. They're a wonderful group of people. They're my family. When I received the email that the symphony was going under, or that I was not to come in for my concerts in like my rehearsals, it was like 36 hours before my first rehearsal, and it was after, mercifully, the players had been let known of this information. I had obviously heard it through social media, through the grapevine, all these sorts of things. But when I got my letter, there was a personal touch from Lori Costello. I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here. This is actually a very good story, in that she said that she was so sorry that this was happening to family. And all I could think about was when I was assistant conductor, my wife's sister tragically passed away, and she spent a month in the intensive care unit at St. Mike's. And as that was happening, and as she was dying, I had a concert, a Broken Beyond concert that was upcoming, and I was a wreck. And I tried to sort of power through, and it was obvious that I couldn't, and I came to Lori, and Lori said instantly, "We're going to figure it out. You poor man. This is the only thing to do. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get somebody to do that concert. Don't worry about it. Go be with Rachel. Go be with Liz." You know, the people of this organization that are all out of a job. This includes the staff. You know, David Lander, who's had, what am I doing here? Ooh, no, I'm going to die. There we go. $100 for the KWS. He's had a particularly crazy year. I'm so sorry for David. Just a stupendous production manager, unflappable. The greatest aspect of one's character and temperament that you can have as a production manager is one of patience, quick thinking, and resolve. And he has all of those qualities in spades. Megan McCracken. I don't know if I've ever encountered just a more competent, forward-thinking librarian. I've never known her to make a single mistake. She anticipates things. What am I even doing here? And she does it with a smile and with a genuine sense of love of the art and intention to help make all of this the best that it can be. This is the sort of people that work for this organization. I should say worked. We have to start talking about this organization in the past tense. But what we can do is we can celebrate what was, and we can support these people that have been unceremoniously turfed from their jobs. SaveTheKWS.ca. Please donate. Thus far, I've donated, I think, $1,400. I mean, I will as soon as this run is over. This is a very hard level. I'm going to die some more here, undoubtedly. It's the final level, the longest, and it's basically summing up all of the mechanics and all of the ideas previous to the game. It's very challenging. More money for the KWS. So nobody knows what's next. The sad reality is that, of course, things were shuttered so quickly as to not fully comprehend what to do or mount enough of a campaign to do it, and that's a shame, and there's going to be, I think, a reckoning for that. But for the moment, again, all we can do is support these wonderful people in thanks for the gifts of their artistry and of themselves that they have given for decades. We want to keep them in this region. We want to keep them safe. Oh, that was close. We want to keep them invested in this community. Already we have seen that Matt Jones, along with several other people have... Whoa, that was close. You know, that should count as a death. I really think that I shouldn't have gotten away with that. Matt Jones has taken it upon himself with other volunteers to make sure that the youth orchestra lives on. I think this is actually one of the more important aspects because, again, the gift of appreciating beautiful things and getting a sense of something bigger than yourself, it's one of the best things you can ever give to a young person. And the youth orchestra was shuttered along with the symphony, but Matt and company are making so that it's going to stick around. Thank you to Matt, thank you to the volunteers, thank you to Wilfrid Laurier University. They're doing their part. What can we do for our part? Donate now, donate often, donate as much as you can. Oh, I'm not going to make it. SaveTheKWS.ca. The thought of the Kitchener-Waterloo region without this orchestra, it's like, it feels alien, cold, hopeless. The light in the void here has been the strength, the commitment, and the fortitude of these players who, with no training or anything like that, have put together this grassroots campaign to be able to raise $300,000, which would have gone to the symphony if only there had been enough time, if they had been given enough time to meet the goal of keeping things alive. So all we can do to pay them back is contribute to this fundraiser. It's kind of a bit of a pathetic excuse. I wish there's more that I could do. I probably should have died there. So please, if you can't join me, I understand times are tough. Again, I've just gone on about how difficult it is in this post-COVID experience. I consider myself fortunate enough to be able to give a donation to the symphony. Give a couple of them, actually. And that's not tooting my own horn. It's merely in an effort to sort of convince others to do the same thing. I'm really hoping we can get them as much as they can. Again, this is for the players and the staff of the orchestra. It is not for the defunct organization. Your money is going to go towards them. It's not going to go into receivership. So they have a wonderful and detailed frequently asked questions listing on the GoFundMe, laying out explicitly where this money is going towards and how it's going to be dispersed in every circumstance. So there's no reason not to donate whatever you can. Whatever you can comfortably. Does anybody have any questions? I can talk a little bit more about the history of the symphony. I can talk a little bit more about my experience. I suppose I should probably talk about a couple of highlights of my conducting experiences there. Although they're so numerous that it's really hard to sort of pick out the ones that I think were of particular importance. Robin says, die some more. You got it. Let's give some more money. Where am I even at right now? I'm curious. Let's just do a quick return to the map so I can update this this death count properly. Just taking a quick break. 21 deaths, eh? Yeah, I certainly think I can do better. Aline's point is very good. That even if you can't donate, the way the social media algorithms work is that sharing is the best thing you can do to sort of get the word out there. This fundraising campaign is still going strong. I'm honored to be a part of it. And I will go from 2,500 meters. This is basically right where we left off. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, you know what, you can ask me, distract me. The more I die, the more money the KWS makes. But I can basically at this point talk about all the things that these wonderful musicians have done. I think it's obvious. All those of you who are here maybe are aware of the value of an orchestra like this and the profound loss that its absence will foster. There are going to be repercussions within the community for a long time. And as I've said, there will be also doubtless a reckoning about how all this came to be. But I think, again, today is not about blame. Today is not about speculation. Today is about helping our people and helping our family. Ooh. Boy, that was close. So please, as Aline says, take a moment. If you're here and you're not able to donate, that's okay. There's probably another 10 solid minutes in this run. Go to SaveTheKWS.ca and donate, or you can go to social media. Sharing is very important. And if you've already done all of that sort of stuff, one thing you can do is you can find the dozens of posts about this fundraising campaign in your social media feed. Like them, comment on them. The algorithm will help with propagation. It's a little bit distasteful that that's the world that we live in at this moment, but that's the state of things. So let's see. Some of my favorite experiences. I think the very notion of being able to conduct these rock stars that I had musically grown up with, that was quite a wonderful thing to experience. Something I consider myself very fortunate to have been able to do. I'm really happy that I was able to learn and grow musically from these players, that I was given the opportunity to make some of my own programming happen. I was given plenty of opportunities to do, whoops, there we go, there's $100 for the KWS. That I was able to do significant repertoire. I remember that we did a run out, would it have been was it to Barry, I think? My goodness, I don't know. Where we did Mozart's Exultate Jubilate and Dvorak's 8th Symphony on a run out on like minimal rehearsal. And I was already just dead to the world because I had been on a whirlwind flight coming back out west for rehearsals of the Pacific Symphonic Wind Ensemble. I was running on like 2 hours of sleep, and we had just like this one rehearsal to put together the Exultate and Dvorak's 8th Symphony. And that was my first time encountering that piece. And it has since become a favorite of mine. In fact, in about a week from now, I'm going to be performing it with my orchestra and the Kingston Symphony Orchestra. An orchestra, I might add, I never would have been music director of the Kingston Symphony had it not been for my time, my experience, my growth, and the fortunate time that I had with the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra as their assistant conductor. But even if the breadth of what I received from the KWS was a love and appreciation for Dvorak's 8th Symphony, I would consider myself a lucky man. I love the piece so much. It's one of my party pieces. I have done it more than the New World Symphony. Somehow. $100 for the KWS right there. Boy, it's really hard to play this game when when you're emotional. So there was that. There was all of the family concerts that I did, that I cherish. The opportunity to have, over the course of my career, I think I'm up to about 750,000 live studio audience members, kids that have attended concerts that I have done for young people. In large part, those numbers, the KWS is responsible for those through their educational series of concerts where they would do just a pile of these concerts, 2 of them in a day. And then, what am I doing? $100 for the KWS. They would just do a pile of them for elementary students of various ages, do that twice a year. Wonderful programs. They would do repertoire from the Link Up series of concerts, which meant that they had really invested in these concerts for young people. And up until the last concert that was going to happen this week with your Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra was going to be a concert for young people. Put together by Fabian Galliana, who is their head artistic admin. He had conceived of a brilliant program to introduce kids to how music can help make movies better, how much music enhances films. And there was going to be all sorts of practical elements, projection, wonderful music, wonderful repertoire. Oh my goodness, am I doing this the right way? Yeah. And I'm, as much as I would have loved to have done the film concert proper, the young people's concerts excite me more because I think they're so important. They're so important. It's hard to overstate their importance. So I think if I'm correct, I am currently at 23 deaths. This is flag number 1. I'm right at the the end of my journey here. You'll see I'm at flag 1. Flag 1's pretty tough. I think I'm going to have a hard time with flag 1. To my friends of the KWS, I am so sorry that this has happened to you. It's tragic. It feels, no doubt, as though you've been abandoned. It must feel as though things are hopeless. I can't imagine what you're going through. And I know that all of us are here to help. And we believe in you, and we are grateful for everything you've done and for bringing light and happiness and joy and wonder. The world is in such short supply of wonder these days. Your artistry was a beacon for the city for literally millions of people. You're irreplaceable, so we hope to I'm hoping we can take care of you. That's Celeste, folks. What did I get my death count to? I lost track. That flag 1 there. Oh, 52. There we go. That's about what I was aiming for. So let's see here. Miscounted a little. That's okay. I'm a conductor. I can only count to 4. And I got those 2 strawberries. 2 strawberries. Folks, what has happened has been unthinkable. It is a tragedy. But from this tragedy, there is hope. It's not a hopeless thing, no matter how much it seems. Again, the whole purpose of art is to bring light into our lives. These people did it as well as anyone in the world. They need your help right now. I'm about to make my donation here now of $5,200 to the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony Orchestra. I'm aware that not everyone can afford to make that kind of donation. I am. But I urge you to do everything you can for these people. They don't deserve it after being cultural ambassadors, of being the bringers of joy, of being just wonderful, generous people. This is their moment of need. Please help them. Please help them. Okay, thanks everyone. That's it for me. I'm going to sign off here and I'm going to make my donation shortly. SaveTheKWS.ca. Go there now, share it. Thank you.